Hello, everyone. I haven't been on here in a while. Been busy. Um, if nobody knew or nobody heard, my son did his first rap interview on Up for Debate TV last night. So if you get a chance, go view it, look at it, like and subscribe. Tonight we're going to speak about a young lady. I think this was very interesting to me because it involved her and her kids. She had four kids. Her name is Michelle Blair, Mitchelle She's from Detroit. I think this story goes back 8, 9 years ago, maybe longer now. Michelle Blair killed her kids. The story involving her stems from that she was molested as a child, by an uncle and some other family members in her home. And she kept telling her mother, and her mother never believed her. So from that, she just started to, I think, a schizophrenia type thing. She became psychotically crazy. She had mental issues. Through this story, Michelle Blair killed her kids and she put them in a freezer. She took them out of school, I think for like a month or some months, and the people came to evict her out of her townhouse. And that's when they discovered that the children were a boy and a girl were in a freezer wrapped up in plastic bags, and they were on top of each other. So I'm gonna demonstrate and show y'all and have y'all listen to 2, maybe 3 of the audios involving her. To me, it was tragic. It was tragic. And I went to the extent to say to myself, how could a mother do this to her children? She had 4 kids. No baby fathers around. She wasn't getting help from the baby fathers. And there was something really seriously mental with her, and nobody paid attention. Nobody paid attention to stop to help her or to help the kids. She had abused these kids for several years in her home. Vicious abuse, beatings, torture, whatever she picked up in her hand, she was hitting them, like physical abuse. And then she started saying that the kids, one of her oldest daughter, Stoney, was molesting her sons. So we're going to go through the story. It was very traumatizing for me to see a mother who had tortured her children for so many years. 2 of them are still living, the other 2 are deceased. But those 2 that are still living, I know those kids are psychotic, like they really need help. And I hope the state or family member or whoever took over them is really getting them the help that they need. So we're going to go through it. And the process of that, I have some photos to show you all. So this photo here is a woman prisoner in Israel. She's in Israel prison. Shows her, agony. Like this is serious. So that's Israel prison. It doesn't even look like they have beds. It looks like she's on the floor on 2 mattresses. Okay. This photo is a woman in prison making a phone call. Now, I don't know if this might be county prison, and she probably too, because when you're in county, they let you make a phone call to your loved one or whoever to bail you out or tell them that you're locked up. This one looks like county jail, might be Feds prison. And I'm showing you this. This should be like County prison or fake prison. Some of the cells, these how the women live in the cells. Bunks on top of bunks. You know, that looked like their food. They were talking. One was doing her hair or whatever. But this is a woman's cell, prison cell. I'm thinking this might be a feds or a state, either one. This is county for sure. This is county prison. The orange is county. So this is their cell. As you can see, the toilet is right in your face. So when your bunkie is using the toilet, you smell everything. These are how the beds are inside the cells. And that brown one to the side, that's the cell door. That's how close everything is. There's no window in there, no air, no ventilation, nothing. This one here could be that she could be on what they call special housing unit. She could be on lock for fighting, arguing. She got a shot or something like that. So this is the cell with the gates. She also could have been just arraigned coming from court or something like that, and they put her in this type of cell. But this is county jail with the orange. This one here is just an array, just a picture array of women prisoners. That's all county. The blue that the young lady had on with the bun on her head, that's a county prison. All the orange and the blue are county prison. So they look like they're just either coming back from prison or they just got locked up and they put them in the cells for holding until they transport them. This does happen. Women pregnant in prison. So what they do is you have your baby, you sign your baby over to a family member. The day that you have your baby will not be leaving with you. You will be transported back to your prison where you came from, and your baby will go with the state, or it will go with somebody who you have given authority to take over them, giving them what they call parental rights or something of that nature. So there are plenty of women in prison, pregnant. Do they get prenatal care and stuff like that? Yes, they do. Here is a woman prisoner being locked. She's either going to court or they're transporting her, but I told you before how they shackle you up, or they're taking her to the infirmary. She's going somewhere, but she's leaving her cell. That burgundy she has on represents county jail also. Okay, so I just wanted to give you all an outlook on to know that the women go through the same things that the men do when they are in prison. It's no different. They go through the same exact thing. There's no different. Only difference is we are women and they are men. Like I said, the men get more than the women. That's it. Okay, moving right along. We're going to Michelle Blair. So this first video I'm going to show you of Michelle Blair is saying, Michelle Blair, why I killed my kids. This says why I killed my kids. Here we go.
What did you do, Stony Blair, to make you guilty for premeditated murder? She raped my son. I intentionally killed her. How did you do that? Starting from the game, I found out about what Stony was doing. It was 9 months later after finding out about Stephen. So for the whole 9 months, we were in the house and she was still raping my child. Did not know that. When I first found out, after told me, I
Oh
She did
shit.
to him, but I repeatedly punched her on many occasions. My son, I told him to tell me every single thing she did to him. So as she was telling me, he was telling me more and more things that she did. I assaulted her every time he told me what she did to him. By assault, I mean I punched her. I have put a bag over her head till she lost consciousness. I threw hot water on her, scalding hot water from the faucet. Um,
Did you hit her in the head with the
yes, I hit her in her head multiple times, over and over.
That shortly before she died?
That was actually the day before she died and the day she died.
Okay.
I hit her on her back. It's like on her tailbone. I kicked her.
Okay, I just want to clarify a few things. And perhaps you don't know, but did this happen on or about May 25th, 2014?
May 25th is actually the day she died, or the day I killed her.
And you said you killed her by putting a grocery bag over her head?
Yes, that day would tell me different things because she was doing this to him for years. And I did not know that. You get what I'm saying? And I didn't find out till 9 months later. She had started with Steven. She ruined my son. Okay, she started with Steven before he even started. So yes, I put a bag over her head, but it got worse that day. Yes, I did. It got worse that day because he would tell me how she would take her pad, her menstrual pad, and squeeze her blood out in his mouth. Okay, and it was over with after that. It was over with.
You meant to kill her?
I definitely meant to kill her.
Wasn't an accident?
No, not at all. If I had a chance to do it again, I would.
When you went and got the grocery bag and suffocated her, that was your intent?
Yes. She was standing in the bathtub. I was throwing hot water on her. My son was standing to my right outside the bathroom door, and he was telling me everything he was telling me. I looked at her and I'm like, "You did this?" And she was like, "Yes." So I actually had a stick and I was hitting her in the head. Every time he told me something, I hit her very hard in her head, and I was throwing hot water on her. And when I actually took her out of the bathroom, I took her back in her room, and I just kept staring at her, and I said, excuse my language. I'm just like, I'm constantly asking her. She kept saying, "I hate him." And I'm like, "You hate him?" And she admitted to me that she hated Steve. She hated everybody. And I'm asking her why. She says, everybody always think so cute. And I'm like, so you brother, because you get what I'm saying. So I meant to. I definitely meant to. And I do not feel any remorse for what I did to Stoney. Because she had no remorse for what she did to my son. It's not only raped him, she gang raped him with Steven. We're all sitting on the floor, and he was telling me that's how I found out about both of them doing it together. It was too late. Steven was gone. But told me that Stoney would actually make him sit there while, in his words, her and Stoney did the nasty stuff, and then they did it to him. And
so this was your way of inflicting punishment?
Definitely.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, y'all. So that's the first part of that. Here we go.
Where did that happen? The death.
Her actual death?
Yes.
Not
the location of the house. Where did you live at the time? Was that the city of Detroit?
Yes.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
yes, Ms. Blair, if she ever actually saw or witnessed any of these acts with regard to Stoney or
Okay. Yeah. Did you ever actually see anything of any sexual abuse of any kind between either Steven and Stoney?
I reject her question, but I will answer it because no one will say that this did not happen because it actually did.
I just want to have a clear record. Because so far, all you told me was that you just heard it.
And that they admitted, no, I did not. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand.
But as I went back in my head and thought back to all the many things that was wrong over the years, and I'm like, that's what was wrong with you? He used the bathroom and said, Mom, my butt hurts when I poop. I don't know. So I started giving him 100% juice to make his stool softer, maybe to help him. But that wasn't the problem. It wasn't his stool. It was that he was being raped. Okay? My son looked me in my eyes and he gave me a very detailed account of everything they did. He was not a violent boy. He is a very sweet little boy. So for him to stand there and look at me and say, do it again, he was hurting. You know? At a certain point, I told him to stop talking. I said, Stoney, you tell me to my son. I said, if she say anything that's not right, tell me. She started telling me many things. And I also asked her, so why didn't Stephen tell me that when I asked him, did anybody do this to him? Why didn't he tell me that you did it to him? Because Stoney was going upstairs, beating Stephen's ass, threatening him. Basically, at a certain point, after I was hitting Stephen, I didn't want to look at him. I didn't want to look at him, so I told him to go to his room. When it came time to eat, I didn't want to take no food up, so I sent Stoney up because she volunteered, not knowing at that time that Stoney was raping either of them. But every time she went upstairs, I wouldn't have known if she hit him or not because I had put many bruises on him. So every time she went upstairs, she admitted to me that she was hitting him also, knocking the hell out of him, telling him, you better not tell her nothing. Get what I'm saying?
I understand. When she admitted these things to you, were you always being physical with her?
The first time, no. We were sitting there. She denied it constantly. I'm like, Stoney, you better tell me. You don't know nothing about it. He constantly told me. You get what I'm saying? Who would admit that? Who would admit that they did not do it?
All right, tell me what happened to Stephen.
Basically the same thing. Can I ask you a question first? The people standing behind me, this woman who just asked the question, is she trying to make it seem like this did not happen?
No. We just have to have a clear record.
Okay.
This is your time to talk. Go ahead. Right now, ma'am, this is just you choosing to plead guilty. The people do not have any sort of plea agreement.
Yeah, because, it's like I'm willing to take a polygraph test. It's like, I understand people don't want to hear me, period, but I'm willing to hear on everything.
To you. Tell me what happened to Stephen.
I came home one day. My daughter, my oldest, met me at the door, and she's like, Mom, come see what he's doing with his dials. And I'm like, what is he doing? He was making one dial, his little resto man, on top of the other. No, I'm like, why was you doing that? I said, he said, no. I said, then why are you doing that? He said, yes, Stephen did. And I was like, so this is the first I'm hearing about that period. This was 9 months before Stoney. Okay, Stoney wasn't downstairs, and she was always in the background. I wish to God I had questioned everybody together, but I didn't.
Would you say this was around August 30th, 2012?
No, this was before August 30th. August 30th is when he died. Okay. This was maybe a week and a half.
Before he died?
Yes.
Okay. So that time you guys set off some action?
Yes, I went upstairs because Stephen was upstairs in his room. And I went upstairs and I said, Stephen, said you was humping on him. And then Stephen stood up and he looked at me, and right then I could tell something was wrong in his face because he was just like this. Any normal kid, I know my kid would have been like, what? That's not what he did. He stood up and looked at me like he had lost his mind. Okay? And it just hearing that from him had me up in my head, period. But I asked him, I said, Stephen, tell me the truth. Was you humping him? He said, yes, but that was all. And I said, did you hump on him with your underwear off? He said, no. He yelled out, yes, he did. And I just remember going in the hallway, walking back and forth, and I walked back up and I was like, you your brother? You know what I'm saying? You a brother. So I'm looking at them too. I'm looking at them like, what? I can't understand. So I started punching Stephen. You know, I'm like, what the f*** is you doing to him? I just started asking him questions. At this point, it's just spilling out. He's just spilling out. And Mom, and he's doing like this, and he do this thing almost every night. He tell me how he was, reason I put bags over Stephen's head because I thought in the bed, my son was never a bed wetter. Didn't know it was Stephen waking up every morning, pissing on like he was a damn piece of shit. Okay? They had bunk beds. Stephen would get out the bed in the middle of the night. You rape him in his own bed. You pee on him instead of going to the bathroom. I'm waking up every morning thinking was a bed wetter. So we just wash him up and go, you're a bed wetter.
Let's talk about what you did to Stephen.
The reason I put bags over Stephen's head because my son told me that the plastic on his bed, because I thought he was a bed wetter, he said, sometimes, Mom, I couldn't breathe. Stephen was laying on me and he had my face down in the plastic on the bed. I couldn't breathe and he was humping on my butt like a basketball. That's when I got a garbage bag and started putting it over Stephen's head. And I started asking him, bitch, you know what I'm saying? You should just feel like you can't breathe? You're talking about, that's my son. You could not breathe on top of getting ready. You was 6 years old at the time. You get what I'm saying? So I put a bag over his head. He lost consciousness. I did that a couple times. He tell me that would be face down. He had stuff around his neck. So I grabbed Stephen and I grabbed the belt and I put a belt around his neck and I lifted him up like, do you like how this feels? Being choked with a belt. So I dropped him. I held him up until he lost consciousness as well.
You were intending to...
No, I did not intend to kill Stephen.
No, I'm not. Listen to my question. You were intending to inflict serious physical harm, but not kill him.
Definitely.
Okay. The government is paying for people to go back to school if they're interested in the healthcare.
So that's the first part of her. So basically, her oldest, but I don't know if she's the oldest daughter or whatever, but the one named Stoney was sexually assaulting the young one named Stephen, and he in turn sexually assaulted his 6-year-old brother. So she tortured Stoney. She wanted to kill the little girl Stoney, but she really did not want to kill her son Stephen. But in the event, she ended up killing him too. So I don't know if it was more of the anger of knowing that they were in there sexually assaulting each other or what was going on. But I also, in my head, is saying, where did they even come up with that to get the children play? Your brothers and sisters, you'll play. So where did they even come up with the fact to do that to each other? And as she said, the little girl Stoney was saying she didn't like Stephen because everybody thought Stephen was cute or whatever the case may be. This to me is really, really a sad story because those kids needed help and so did she. Okay, the second part I'm going to share with you all is called Freezer Mom Case. This is her. They called her the damn Freezer Mom. Okay.
When it comes to horrific crimes, this story is hard to beat. Mitchelle Blair kept a freezer in plain sight in her living room, and every day her 2 kids would have to pass it, knowing that the bodies of their brother and sister were inside. And that was just the beginning. Let's recap.
Trying to get this phone right here.
Hey, I'm Amy. Thanks for watching True Crime Recaps. If you like getting...
Oh, Lord. I'm sorry.
all the crime in half the time, you are in the right place. And if you like spending time with us as much as we like spending it with you, it would really mean a lot if you took a second to give this a thumbs up and maybe even share our channel with a friend. Don't forget to say hi in the comments and let us know if you've got a great idea for a new recap. We always love hearing from you. And with that, let me tell you what Mitchelle Blair is capable of, and you might never sleep again. In 2015, she's a 35-year-old unemployed single mom of 4, struggling to pay the rent on her Detroit area apartment. On a Tuesday morning in late March, a court officer shows up at her house with an eviction notice, but no one's home. Now, this isn't the kind of visit where they come back later to talk about alternatives. No. Michelle's been fielding warning notices about her unpaid rent for a while now, and this is it. So the landlord opens the door for the court-appointed moving crew, and they start moving the family stuff out to the curb. Before too long, though, they realize, this isn't going to be a typical eviction. First of all, the house is a friggin' cesspit of garbage, old food. It's hard to believe that anyone actually lives there. But prominently positioned near the front door is a white freezer chest. They open it, expecting to find frozen food, but that is not what Michelle is keeping cold. Inside is a 13-year-old girl wrapped in a plastic bag. Underneath her frozen body is another child, a 9-year-old boy, Stoney and Steven, two of Michelle's kids. Police don't have far to look for her. Michelle, her 8-year-old son, and her 17-year-old daughter are at a neighbor's house, where Michelle is promptly arrested. Well, it took 3 days for the children's bodies to thaw enough for the medical examiner to get an official cause of death. But it only took about 3 minutes for Michelle to say, "I killed those demons and I would do it again." To hear her tell it, she did what any loving mother would do. It started 2 years earlier when she says she came home to find her youngest son on the floor playing with his toys. Not just innocently playing, but like play acting sex stuff. He was 6 at the time, so she fears the worst, and she asks him, "Where did you learn to do those things? Did someone touch you that way?" And she says that he told her a terrible story about the things that his 9-year-old brother Steven was doing to him. So over the next 2 weeks, she inflicts this level of punishment on Steven that would make the guards at Guantanamo flinch in horror. She forces Steven into the bathtub. She pours scalding hot water on his genitals and his legs until his skin blisters and peels off. She hits and kicks him over and over. She wraps a leather belt tight around his neck, lifting him off his feet. She claims he made his little brother drink this blue stuff under the sink, so she pours Windex down Steven's throat. This is the kind of abuse that went on and on for 2 weeks. She wraps a plastic bag around his head, suffocates him until he passes out, and when he comes to, she does it again. She does that over and over, and then finally, his little body cannot take any more, and he dies at the end of August 2012. That was actually her only regret. Michelle wanted to keep punishing him. His death was an accident. So she wraps his body in his favorite blanket and stuffs him in the freezer she keeps in the living room.
Is this invention going to put eye doctors out of business? These self-adjustable glasses are taking the world by storm.
Basically,
9 months later, Michelle...
that's a horror story. That's really a real bad horror story for those kids, because I feel if somebody would have stopped and paid attention, but I guess the neighbor that her 17-year-old daughter was at, that neighbor didn't know that she was abusing those kids and those things was going on to call CPS, the police, or somebody. Sometimes it's not snitching. Sometimes it's not minding anybody's business. I just feel anything that goes on with a child, a kid, somebody has to stop and pay attention and acknowledge that something is going on. These people, a lot of people like her suffer mental issues real bad, because to do that to you, I understand her saying she wanted to punish the kids because they were doing what they were doing, if they were doing it. I wasn't there. Nobody was there. This is just her story. Like the judge asked her, did you have proof that they were doing this? A child putting a doll over top of another doll. Yeah, sometimes a little friction looks a little suspicious. And that would alerted me to take this child to a mental person or somebody to find out what is going on. Beating them and torturing them, when you're mad, things happen. I understand that. When you're mad, you're embarrassed, you're frustrated, your kids shouldn't be doing that, because a lot of these kids do need their ass whipped. But to literally torture these children and do what she did. And then she said she meant to kill her daughter, Stoney. She meant to kill her. So there was, even though she said Stoney was raping her son and she didn't like her brother and stuff like that, there was something else. She didn't kill the 17-year-old one. That one was with her. And the other baby, the six-year-old or whatever, was with her. So this little girl, Stoney, there was something more traumatic going on with Mitchelle Blair and that little girl. So if you all get a chance, it's a lot of tapes about her. If you get a chance and you're interested in it, go pull it up. It's the Mitchelle Blair story. So I wanted to speak on the fact that through like court systems, I spoke about the Innocence Project. They're doing something else now. They have gotten a lot of people out, so they have something else going on now, but I have to get into it to find out what it is. But again, if you have any members in prison, it's not really about them being innocent, because people get, they get a little rushed off when you say the Innocence Project. So it's not really all about them being innocent. Sometimes people plead guilty to cases that they probably shouldn't have. And if they go and get an organization or a person to stand behind them and back them and see what's going on with their case, it might help them get out of prison. People are coming out of prison every day for different reasons. Some people are appealing their cases. They're throwing their cases out, time served and stuff like that. You just have to stick with it and get into it. Once you help somebody in prison with the paperwork, you can't stop and be like, I don't think this is going to work, I'm just going to stop. You have to keep going and keep going. So that will be a commitment. And if you can't commit to these people to help them, then don't get in it. Because being in prison and you finally find someone to say, I'm going to help you, that help word means a lot to them. So when they feel as though that you can't help them, you're not going to try to keep going, that breaks their heart. And seriously. So they'll be like, a lot of men, they're strong enough to say, okay, well, I'm fine with it, cool with it, but a lot of them aren't. So if you ever do that, I'm telling you, that is a commitment that you will have to be in, because they can't move around. They can only call you, write out, give you the paperwork and stuff that you need to help them. So they need people on the outside to move around for them, because they can't do it themselves. They can write all day long, letters, mail get missing. So you have to stay in contact with these people that you're writing, the organizations and stuff, for the inmate to know that they got their mail, know that they say they're going to help them, and you will be the middle person all the way through. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. I'm gone. Have a good night. This weather here in Washington, D.C., in Baltimore, Maryland, is terrible. See y'all later.